Dear students, today we will discuss about blood. Till now, for us, bloods are a part of animal body. It is of red color, but today we will know in details what is blood. So, composition of blood. The red fluid we can see that flows in our body is basically composed of some cells. The component of blood of a vertebrate means the animal which contains vertebra. So now let's discuss about composition of blood. Blood contains red blood cells. In short, we will say it as RBC. Then white blood cells. In short, we will say it WBC. And some blood platelets. In red blood cells, a component whose name is hemoglobin is present. When we say oxygen and carbon dioxide bind to blood, it means the gases binds with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a component of red blood cells. Due to the presence of hemoglobin, the color of blood is red because hemoglobin is of red color. So you can learn now why the color of blood is red. It is because of the presence of hemoglobin in red blood cells of blood. Next, white blood cells. As the name signifies, white blood cells are colorless. Why it is colorless? Because it do not contain hemoglobin. The color of hemoglobin is red, and since in RBC or red blood cells hemoglobin is present, so the color of blood is red or RBC is red. But in white blood cell hemoglobin is absent, so white blood cells are colorless. The function of white blood cells in our body is it kills the germs and protect our body from infections. The number of white blood cells are fewer as compared to the red blood cells. That means in our body, red blood cells are present in higher amount and white blood cells are present in fewer amount. And the size of white blood cells are also bigger than the red blood cells. Now next, the third composition of blood is blood platelets. Blood platelets are not exactly cell, but it is a tiny cell fragments, a part of cell. It is not a cell but cell fragments. Now the function of blood platelets are when some damages occurs to our blood vessels and blood comes out, bleeding occurs, then in presence of air it clots and seals the wound. The blood platelets helps in clotting of blood. You can observe when you play or sometimes you may get injured and may bleeding occurs there, but after some times what happen, the blood is clot and bleeding is stopped down. So the blood platelets presence in our blood help in clotting the blood. How? In presence of air, the blood platelets clots the blood and then seals the wound. So in healing process, this blood platelets play an important role. Next is lymphatic system of the human body. So what is lymphatic system? Lymphatic system is a system which maintain the body fluid amount. That means higher amount of fluid is not required for our body and lower fluid is also not required for our body. So lymphatic system maintain the fluid level in our body. So how? We will discuss now. Lymphatic system is made up of lymph vessels and lymph nodes. So in figure, lymphatic systems are given in all our body. Lymphatic systems are distributed and it is consist of some lymph vessels. Vessels means similar as blood vessels. Lymph vessels are also present in our body and lymph nodes. Nodes mean where the vessel joins to each other, it forms a node there. As the blood flows through the capillaries, some of the plasma comes out of the walls. Plasma, what was the plasma? Plasma was the fluid portion of the blood. That means blood is mainly a fluid and some certain component which is dissolved in the fluid portion. The fluid portion is called plasma, and the dissolved substance are some required for our body and some are waste of our body. So plasma contains those useful and waste substances of our body. Now, sometimes the plasma comes out of the blood capillaries. Next, those plasma enters the lymph vessels and is drained back to the blood vessels. Those plasma, after coming out from blood vessels, blood capillaries, it enters the lymph vessels. Lymph vessels are the carrying tubes which carry the fluid portion only. So plasma comes to the lymph vessels, and from it again go to the blood vessels. Before the plasma return to the circulatory system, that means to blood vessels or to blood capillaries, it is filtered through lymph nodes. So the function of lymph nodes is filtrate the plasma. Lymph nodes contain special types of cells. These cells protect the human body from disease-causing organisms and harmful substances. So our lymphatic systems protect us from disease. It is a protective system of our body. Our white blood cells also protect us from the infections, and lymphatic system also protect us from harmful substances. Next, excretory system in humans. What is excretory system? Excretory system means excrete out the waste material. In our human body, different activities are performed in different parts. In all the activities, most of the activities, some waste materials is also formed. For example, in digesting the food also, some amount can digest it, but not all the food that we eat we can digest. So those becomes waste material. And the carbon dioxide taking from the lung. Besides carbon dioxide, other several kinds of waste materials also form in our body in performing the different type of activities. So what happened to those waste material? Those mix with blood, because blood is the circulatory system which circulates all the whole body, and it transport the harmful substances as well as good substances also. So those excretory material mixed with blood, and through excretion process waste materials are removed from the body. The human excretory system is made up of kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and the urethra. So here human excretory system is shown. 2 kidneys we have. Through this kidney, waste material comes to the urinary bladder. From urinary bladder, it goes out to the urethra. A human being usually have 2 kidneys, I have told you. They are located at the abdominal cavity. The 2 kidneys of our body work as the filter for our body. That means it purifies the blood and it removes the waste materials from our body. Now how this activity is performed? Blood is brought to the kidneys through the arteries. In the last class, we have learned that arteries carry pure blood. So those pure blood through circulates the whole body, and then it enters the kidney. It carry blood. As the blood flows through the kidneys, the tiny tubular filter the blood and the separate waste from it. When blood enters the kidney and flows through the kidney, then the filtrate present in the kidney filter the blood and remove the waste material from the blood. The end product is the urine. We passes urine is the waste material of our body. It contains water and waste materials filtered out from the blood. Urine is consisting of water and waste materials which are filtered by the kidney. What are those waste material? Those waste materials are urea, ammonia, and uric acid. In humans, basically these 3 are the waste material of urine. The urine flows through 2 long tubes called ureters and collects in the urinary bladder. From the 2 kidneys, 2 ureter are connected to the urinary bladder. The urine and the urine, that means the water and the waste material passing through these 2 ureter, they come to the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is a storage sac for the urine. The urine ultimately is drained out of the body through the urethra. The urinary bladder stores the urine for some times, and when it is filled, then the urethra drained of the urine. So this is the excretory system of our human body. Now one other waste material is sweat. What is sweat? Sweat is some excess salt present in our body. When the weather is hot and humid, water loss is occurred from our body. If the atmospheric temperature is high than our body temperature, then what happened? Our body lost water to cool down it. So in water loss, what happens? Sweat, that means a salty waste material is removed from our body. Why our body lost the water? The evaporation of water from the surface cools the body. That means in water loss or in sweating, what happens? Evaporation of water from our body takes place. So it will cool down our body during hot summer and humid weather. So now next, moving to the transport of substance in plants. Till now we have discussed in humans how transportation takes place. We need one circulatory system, one lymphatic system, one excretion. But in plants what happens? How the transportation of good substance and waste material occurs? Because trees or plants don't have blood. The transport system of plants is called the vascular system. In human being it was circulatory system, and in plant it is vascular system. In vascular system, two types of narrow tubes are present. Those two tubes are called xylem and phloem. Those tubes are organized into bundle form. That means not one tube or two tube. It is present in bundle form, and those bundles are called vascular bundles. And those vascular bundles form the entire whole plant body. In leaf, these bundles appear as leaf veins. In leaf also those bundles are present, but we call it leaf veins. So when we say transport of substance in plants, that means what are the good substance that required for the plant are minerals. Some minerals like potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, iron, etc. are required by the plants. So those minerals are absorbed by the root hairs along with water. The roots of a plant goes deep down to the soil, and root contains some hair-like structure which is called root hair. Those root hair from the soil absorb water, and along with it those minerals are infused with water. Those minerals are dissolved in the water below the soil. So along with the water, those minerals are also absorbed by the root hairs. So root hairs are also one part of transport system in plants. Those water absorbed by the root hairs move towards the center of the root and collects in the xylem tubes. Those root hairs, here see some root hairs are present. Those root hairs absorb water, and then from these root hairs it moving to the different cells, it presents to xylem tubes. Two basic tubes we have found are xylem tubes and phloem tubes, and togetherly a bundle of xylem tubes and phloem tubes form vascular bundle. So those water enters to the xylem tubes, and the xylem tube, through this xylem tube, transport water to the leaves or other parts of the body. Like in our body, the blood circulates all the required material to whole body. In plant body, what happen? When the water enters the xylem tubes, those xylem tubes or those bundles spread or circulates the water to the whole plant body. Those water goes to the leaf also. Through which? Through xylem tubes. It goes to the leaves. Then the leaf use some of the water to make food. With the help of sunlight and this water, leaf produce the own food of plant with the help of photosynthesis, and the remaining water is released from the leaves through the stomata. In the leaves, some opening are there. In the respiratory system of plants also we have discussed about the stomata. Stomata are some hole-like structures which is present in the leaf. So with the help of the stomata, plant receives oxygen. Plant receives the required gas from the atmosphere. Through this stomata, the water is also released to the environment. Now just now we have learned that through xylem tubes, the water is circulated to the whole plant body. But how this is possible? How water can rise through xylem tubes? What causes this upward movement? Because the water movement is upward movement. Water is absorbed by the root hair and then it moves to the xylem tubes, and those with the help of those xylem tubes it goes to the all part of body. So how this upward motion takes place? Water rises in the xylem due to the following reasons. Some reasons are there. Pressure caused by the absorption of water from the soil. Now when the root absorb the water from the soil, along with the water and the minerals, the soil exerts some pressure on the root also. So with the help of this pressure it will move to the upward direction. And the next reason is transpiration pool. So what is transpiration pool? Transpiration is the evaporation of water from the leaves through stomata present on the leaves. So transpiration means releasing of water from leaf to the environment. The xylem tubes transport the water to the leaves also, and from leaves water goes to the outside, goes to the environment. This process is called transpiration. Almost 90% of water that the root absorbs is always lost through transpiration. That means only the 10% of water is used in making the foods and other activity, but the other 90% goes to the outside. The evaporation of water from the leaves generates a pool that sucks water and dissolves nutrients right up to the tip of even a very tall tree. So this transpiration, since a higher amount of water gets evaporated to the atmosphere, so a pool is exerted. What is pool means? A force. You can assume that a force from the upper side is exerted to the water present at the below. So this force also helps to the water goes in upward direction. The upward movement of sap is called ascent of sap. So this movement, when the pool exerts a force and due to this force the nutrients and water moves upward, this upward movement of sap. Sap means the nutrients collected from the soil is called ascent of sap, upward movement of sap. Now transpiration of food. Till now we have got how water is transported. With the water some minerals. What are those minerals? The minerals that plant absorbed are potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, iron, etc. Right? So with water those nutrients or those minerals are also goes to the upward direction. Now transportation of food. Food is prepared in the leaf part of a plant body with the help of the water which is sucked from the soil and the sunlight. Plants prepare their own food through a process called photosynthesis. Now how those prepared food from leaf goes to the other part of the plant body? The transportation of food takes place through the phloem cells, the phloem tubes. Till now we have learned that two bundles or two tubes are found in plant transport system. Those are xylem tubes and phloem tubes. Xylem tubes transport the water and phloem tubes transport the food that produced in the leaf to the stem, branch, flower and roots to the every other parts of the plant. The process of this transport of food through the phloem cells are called translocation. So here your chapter 1 is finished. Thank you.